We got our girls ready to go.
We have a crazy girl in the herd.
Oh yeah, a couple of them.
She was out there bucking and stomping and rearing up all over the place.
These are all the new moms. We let them raise their own kids. The moms do a lot better job than we do, but we still milk them twice a day. You bring them in twice and get them milked. They have a lot more milk than what their babies can drink. I'll get a little bit louder in here. I'll go get the pump. I'll be right back. A couple of these might kick, but they're brand new. It's like their first time in the barn, stuff like that. It's called the fresh pen. They all just had babies. So they're fresh, yep. He is. See, she's a brand new girl. And she's like
one and only really crazy one.
Here, just wait on her. Just wait on her. I'll help you. When they come in, the first thing we do is we spray them with a light iodine solution. You got to wash off the teats on them. You have to have the udder really clean and dry whenever you're milking. Bacteria can swim, but it can't walk. And so if you have a wet udder, all that water and stuff will end up down around your teat cup on them. So you need a really clean, dry udder. You take a squirt of milk out of them, you make sure the milk looks good before you start, just a visual on them. And you hook up the machine. Takes about maybe 4 or 5 minutes to get them milked out. This girl's giving us trouble, so I'm gonna have to help her milk this one. Everybody else is cooperating here. But she's a brand new one, first time in the barn, so she's like, what the heck is going on here? I know probably, I would say 50% of them by name. We got everybody here, but they're like a pack of dogs. Goats are so friendly. 40% of them think they're my best friend. And these are Nubians, they're what we're milking. The sweetest milk and highest fat of any goat, the Nubians are. Hello, girls. They like their back rubs. Oh yes, that's a good spot, huh? They do about a gallon a day. We milk them twice a day. Come on back, girls, come on. Come on. I know it, these young ones cause trouble. My wife is the herdsman here, and I'm do the cheese making and the cheese sales, but this is my wife's end right here, taking care of the goats. I think women do a lot better job than men. They're a lot more compassionate. 5 of our 6 employees are women. I know it. I know, you're all good girls. Yes, you are. We milked cows for 40 years, and then we sold our cow herd probably about 12 years ago. We started milking goats then. They're just such a small profit per cow, you can't hardly even make it in the dairy business anymore. So we're glad we switched over. And I never dreamed how nice the goats would be. One thing that's different on them, the cows, I had to trim their feet once a year. The goats, I have to work on their feet every 2 to 3 months. Completely different on that. And you girls are a pain in the butt too, huh? Yeah. Yeah, if you work on it out in the corral, something like that, working on a water line, you have to fence yourself off to keep them off of you. Come on, girls, let's go. Up, we got 7. We can work with 7. Except for she can't get into the green. I'm gonna grab me some gloves real quick. They'll be full. We're transferring milk from our holding tank. Come over here, you can get a little bit of shot of the milk in here, into our pasteurizer. And we use a delicate liquid pump. Goat milk is 4 times smaller cellular structure than cow milk. And if you use a high-speed pump whenever you're transferring it, it breaks it down, causes the capric acid in it, and it makes it taste real goaty. So everything we do, we use a delicate liquid pump whenever we're handling our milk in here. That's why goat milk is a universal milk. If you have any mammal die, they'll give it goat milk. It's 4 times smaller cellular structure than cow milk, and so it's just if a human baby to a horse, anything like that needs milk, they usually go to goat milk. It's something anybody can digest. A shot of how my dad used to milk here. So if you're not using a machine, that's how you get a milk. And how about it straight from the goat? Fresh as it gets. Boy, and it is sweet milk too. It is so good. That's why we picked Nubians. They don't give the most milk, but if I was milking cows, they would be like milking Jerseys, and Saanens are more like milking Holsteins. They're a high volume, but not very much fat. And we make cheese out of all of our milk. So we want high protein and high fat milk, and that's what Nubians have. So they do about a gallon a day, half a gallon per milking. But their butter fat will run around 6 to 7% fat. Whole milk is 3.25%. So these girls are practically giving half and half is what's coming out of them. Cow milk, you only get 1 pound of cheese per gallon, and on goats I can get 2 pounds of cheese per gallon. So a lot better yield. When we're finished milking, the end of the teats are open, and you don't want them to lay down out in the corral and get bacteria up in their udder. So we dip them in an iodine, it's a thick one. It puts a protective coating over the end of the teat. It takes it about 10 minutes till it closes up good on their own. So they're washed when they come in and dipped when they go out. Gotta dip this girl. This is the most important 10 minutes out of the day for these goats. This is when if something bad's gonna happen, something's gonna go wrong, it's gonna be in here. So you have to do a really good job and take care of them on this end. Let's scoot over. You ready, girls? Are you ready, girls? Keep going, keep going. A lot of brand new moms in here. They're a little nervous. First timers. We started with 16 head about 10 years ago, and a goat herd is pretty easy to double because they can have, they average 2 to 3 kids regularly. We've had some have 5 has been the most, a couple of sets of quads last year. So it's easy to double. They have a lot of babies. Next year, we're hoping to be milking about 350 head. This year, we're right around 200 where we're milking this year. Milking 100% Nubian makes most of the difference right there. Their milk is so good. And then I control my own milk supply where a lot of the big cheese plants, they'll get their milk from 350 dairies. And I know how to produce a really fantastic milk, and you can't make good cheese unless you start with a good milk. You can't make good cheese out of crappy milk. And so you're gonna have 350 dairymen. Some of them know what they're doing and some don't. You're gonna end up with an average milk and you're gonna end up with an average cheese. So that's the difference in it. How we handle the milk with the delicate liquid pumps makes a big difference. And then another thing we do, we'll go see the bucks a little bit later, is you don't run your bucks with your does when you breed them. They smell so bad they go into rut like deer and elk do. If you leave them with them all the time, your girls will get that smell on them and it'll end up in your cheese. And that's what gives a lot of goat cheese and goat milk a bad name, is these guys run their bucks with their does. And so we just get them out whenever we're gonna breed them. It takes about 10 minutes, they breed them, and then we separate them. Big difference in it. And you can tell the difference in the flavor. We were milking cows. We sold the cow dairy, and my wife said, let's milk goats. And I said, there's no way I'm milking those. I can't stand goat cheese. And I had 2 cheeses and milk one time, and all 3 of them were terrible. They were running their bucks with their does. Tastes like kissing a buck. And so I was like, no, I'm gonna pass on that. We did a 2-year cheese vacation up and down the east and west coast. We were going to start a 30 cow dairy and do a cheese operation, a small artisan cheese. And we came across a couple of goat guys who knew how to do it right and did a really fantastic job. And then we decided to switch over to the goats at that point. Now there's just such a small profit per cow, we were going broke milking the cows. And in fact, my friends right now that still are milking cows, they're milking 3,000 and 4,000 cow dairies, and they're dropping out left and right. We stopped whenever we were at 500 head, but we were milking. My granddad, my dad milked cows. My wife's family all milked cows. We started here in Phoenix in 1919, my family, and then my wife's granddad, they started here in 1912 milking cows. Got it, girls? This is good. We like girls that take a long time. That means they got a lot of milk in them. So it's okay to be slow. After they're finished here, they go back out to their kids. We got the kids outside. Kids that were raised on their moms, they are a third bigger than the girls that I have to raise on a bucket. Sometimes the moms don't want them, and there's a few I have to raise. These outgrow them by a third whenever the moms raise them. They can get up and get a drink at midnight anytime they want. It's available 24 hours a day. The girls I'm feeding a bucket, we'll feed some in a minute. They get fed 3 times a day, and they still don't grow anywhere close to what the others do. They are. They're monsters out here.
Often called the mushroom of the gods, lion's mane has a long history of medicinal use. This popular nootropic has been shown to enhance focus and increase cognition, helping you feel more productive and accomplished. Research studies have also shown that lion's mane is neuroprotective, giving you peace of mind as you power through your day. Try lion's mane and experience the mental clarity and productivity boost you've been missing.
It's an 80-gallon pasteurizer. We're making 7 cheeses pretty much, a different one every day of the week. It holds 80 gallons, and then our holding tank over here holds 160 gallons of milk. So now we're going to cook it to 145 degrees for 30 minutes. That's the least invasive pasteurization that you can do. There's a couple others. One's 160 degrees for 10 seconds, and one is 202 degrees, I believe, for 2 seconds. And when you do that, there's nothing in the milk. It just completely kills everything. At this low temperature pasteurization, vat pasteurizing, the way we do it, it keeps the milk intact to make cheese. If you do the 160 or the 200, it completely changes the structure of the milk and it doesn't make a good cheese. So it's a lot slower doing it this way, but it makes a fantastic product. We have to simmer the milk for the 45 minutes. We'll cool it back down, cool it down to around 88 degrees, and then we'll add a culture to it. We buy a culture out of France. Whenever we're adding the culture, we'll say what kind of cheese we're going to make. We let it ripen for a while. Then we add our rennet to it, and the rennet, we use a vegetable rennet. It's derived from a mushroom. Most rennets come from a lamb or a calf, the enzyme from a stomach from a baby who hasn't drank any milk from its mom. It's got to be a brand new baby. That's where you get rennet from. And we use the mushroom on ours, is what we use the vegetable rennet on ours. We have lots of vegetarians that eat our cheese, and I even have 2 vegans that buy my cheese. They say don't tell anybody that they buy it, but they know we treat our animals well, and so that's why they still buy some cheese from us. I think they just need protein maybe, but they buy cheese from us also. So Michael's gonna cool this down. First we gotta heat it, then we'll cool it down. We'll add the culture, and we're going to make feta today is what we're making today. After the goats are milked, it comes down this line into the receiver, and when it gets 10 gallons of milk in it, the pump kicks on. The receiver pumps the milk up the line into the cheese room in here, or we'll call it the cheese studio. That sounds fancier. Through this, through the wall, dropped in the tank. And so we have to have it refrigerated while we're waiting to make cheese. We make cheese every day, but we still have to refrigerate it while we're waiting for it to be made. And we'll keep it, let's see, to 32 degrees. We have to have graphs on both tanks. This is why inspectors, the state and the feds are really big on is your temperatures and making sure everything was cooked right and held at the right proper temperature. Keeping it cold helps out the flavor a lot also. If you make cheese every day, your cheese is going to be much better than if you wait. The fresher, the sweeter your milk is, the better your cheese is going to be. And so we just do it daily rather than go with bigger tanks. And they'll warm their milk up for them just like kids. My favorite bucket, 6 at a time. I think I got 4 out here today. Even though we let the moms raise their own kids, some of them don't take care of their babies, so I end up feeding some of them. This is how we do it. We got a giant bottle here. We can feed up to 6 at a time with it. I have another bucket that I feed 13 at a time with. All the girls in the pen right here are all pregnant. They're getting ready to have their kids. So these are all 5 months pregnant out here. They're called dries. Hey girls. Hey girls. Come on. Come on. I hope I still got them. Come on, girls. Come on down there. We'll get over here. Yeah. Oh, that's some good stuff, isn't it, girls? Some of the moms don't take care of the babies. They're just like people. There's some of the moms out here, they want to claim every kid that's born. They'll try to steal it and feed them. And then every once in a while, you'll get some that just don't want to have anything to do with their kids. I don't know. I have never figured that one out. But I get to be mom. And then these are really hard to work with when they get big because they really do act like a dog when you raise them like this. They're just up in your way all the time. Sounds better. They're in your way all the time. But they do. You can't walk anywhere. They're in front of you and want you to be petting them. So really the girls that are raised by the moms work a little better. They're friendly, but they're not too friendly. These get ridiculous. Then after about halfway through the bucket, they start getting a drunk look in their eye. 3 times a day they get fed. So I really like the moms raising them better. A lot easier than me doing it. But we do a good job. We hardly ever have a baby die. I think out of 420 last year, maybe 2, and they were pretty much born dead. So we have a really good record. We know how to take care of animals well. No, you girls are done. You are done. They're cute when they jump on you at this age, but when they get to be 200 pounds, they're not real cute when they jump on you then. She's getting special treatment, this one. She gets her own apartment here because who her kid is. We have a buck whose name is Comet. He is #1 in the country for passing on milk genetics. His daughters give more milk than any other goat, Nubian goat. Now all my dogs run around. They're livestock guardian dogs. They keep everything alive except for Squirrel. She has to stay in the yard because she's a chicken killer. So she doesn't get out. Squirrel has to stay in. But these big white dogs are Great Pyrenees, Anatolian Shepherds. The peacocks we let run around for snakes. There's lots of rattlesnakes and stuff out here, and they're meat eaters. And so they'll kill snakes, anything, scorpions, anything smaller than them, they'll kill it and eat it. Oh, hello girls. Your breakfast is coming. Your breakfast is coming. Now, and the girls, they get named after friends and family. They're all pretty much named who all the girls' names are. But there's not that many boys. What is there? 6 boys on the whole place, 6 bucks. And so you get named after a buck. Buck gets named after you if you die. So these are named after dead friends. There's Danny and Bruce. The red one's Valentino over there. He already had a name. He was named when we got him. But we keep them up here because they go into rut just like deer and elk do. And if they're out there with your girls, they get the smelling so bad, they'll get on the girls, they'll smell bad, and your milk will end up tasting like these guys. And so that's why we keep them up here. They literally think that their urine is a drinking fountain. They put their head between their legs, they'll pee all over their head, they come back like this, shake it. You come out here and they are dripping head to toe in pee. They think they smell great, the girls think they smell great, everyone but us. And you can smell this pen, when they go into rut, you can smell them from a quarter mile away, whichever way the wind's going, you can smell this group. So this is why we keep them separate. If I was producing for a large creamery, I wouldn't separate my bucks because it's a lot of work doing it this way. I would just let them run with the girls, but you end up with a bad tasting milk. And that's why when a lot of people get goat milk that doesn't taste good, they're running their bucks with their does. It makes all the difference in the world. So Danny, he's out of Comet, the guy I was telling you about. He's one of Comet's sons, the ¡1 buck. Now I'm gonna have to wash my hands, I'll tell you, after petting him. He's not a yellow goat, but there is yellow on him. There's a yellow on his neck. That's why I warn everybody about petting zoos. It's like that yellow beard on that goat, it's not supposed to be yellow when you're rubbing that beard underneath their neck. But they're going out of rut right now. It's just at the end of breeding season. It's one of the problems we have in Phoenix is they want to produce a lot of milk in the summer, and that's when all my customers are here, the snowbirds, or aren't here rather. And then in the winter time, they want to dry up and have their kids in the spring and not produce during the winter. And that's when I have the most customers here. And so we breed really early and really late in the season to try to get enough milk. I have a couple girls that'll milk through 2 years, but they're so good that they'll do that. I like to breed them because I want the kids out of them. Oh, girls. Hey, Ruprecht. She's one of my favorites, Ruprecht. She's a funny girl. Oh, I know. You love me. So this is the crew out of, I'd say we got probably about 25 or so that the moms wouldn't take care of them. And that's out of the first, probably 200 kids so far that we've had. And sometimes I might take the kid a little sooner, but it's just to make sure that they're gonna make it. If they're a little weak or something like that, we'll get them out, milk the mom, feed them some colostrum with a bottle, and then put them back with the mom. But Nubians aren't a real hardy breed. When they come out, they kind of lay there like, maybe I'll live, maybe I won't, I'm not sure. There's other goats that come out running and screaming, but these girls you got to talk them into living sometimes. And they haven't had their bottle yet. That's why everybody's complaining this morning. They have bottom teeth and they have molars, but never top front. They're just like cows and sheep. But a cow and a sheep, they are grazers. They want to eat down. And goats are more of a forager, browser. They want to eat up. They want to eat bushes and trees. And so on a cow and a sheep, their molars are like ours. They're flat. Where on a goat, their molars are like serrated knives back there. If you get your finger back there too far, they could bite your finger off. They're made to bite through branches. And they can turn just really poor forage into a fantastic product. They can eat sticks pretty much and turn it into milk, which is what a machine that is. Now these are what this pen is here. They're 3 months, and so we're taking them off of the bottle. And they're getting grain and some kid starter, and we just started them here after we take them off the bottle. That way I can keep an eye on them in the back of my house there, because it's kind of a rough transition time when you're not getting milk anymore. Yeah. So we keep an eye on them here, make sure nobody gets sick. These over here are the ones still getting bottled. That's why I say I got about 20 that we're feeding, having to feed twice a day. But the rest of them, this crew, they're done, which is good. They were drinking all my cheese milk. When I was saying that I have a couple vegans that buy it, they're the animal rights vegans. They're worried about how you treat your animals. They know we treat ours right. One thing, just letting the moms raise the kids is such a difference than most farms. Big time difference on that one. Our old girls, whenever they get ready to retire and aren't producing, we usually give them away. We give them to a good home. It's hard to say I'm going to take Aunt Lorene or Martha or Brenda to the auction whenever she's worked for you for 8 or 10 years and produced for you, and they love you. It's so much tougher than a cow. A cow, you loaded them up and hauled them off, but these, they love you, so it's a completely different deal. And so I'm enjoying dairying a lot more than I did when I was milking cows. A lot more satisfying. You get to deal with the animals rather than on the big cow dairies milking 10,000 head. They're more of just a number, more one of the machines on the farm. My favorite tool on the farm. So our first pen, this is who we were seeing them milk in the barn. These are the fresh girls. Here's all their kids over here in the barn, but they like to come get a bite to eat after they've been milked. So we feed them right after they've been milked. Another reason to do that is they stand up after they've been milking. They don't come lay down. You want to be sure and take care of that udder. Pen 2 is our next one. These girls are all right at 3 months pregnant. We're going to be drying them, which means we won't be milking them anymore. They're pregnant 5 months, and so between 3 and 5 months, you don't milk them. You have to give them a 2-month vacation. If you just milk them all the way through till they have their baby, you'll burn them out. They won't live very long. So everybody gets a 2-month vacation between 3 and 5 months pregnant. And then I talk about babies and pregnancy a lot. That's the name of the game when you're dairying. If they don't have babies, they don't produce milk. And so I'm pretty much a cow gynecologist. Not a cow, I'm a goat gynecologist now. I can do anything a regular vet does. I could even probably do a cesarean if I had to. These girls are all pregnant teenage girls here. We breed them at about 8 months. We want them to have their first baby at 13 months old. And so that's out here is pregnant teenage girls, everybody in this pen. They just about eat me out of house and home. It costs a lot to raise all this crew. Well, we're probably doing $600 a day just for our feed bill, just to feed everybody. So you got to sell a lot of cheese just to pay for your feed. None of my kids like to work on the farm, but they all have a really good work ethic, and so they've all done really well. My one kid, the musician, well, a couple of them are, but one of them, David, he used to have a screamer band, and so he owed me some money, and I got the band. So this is the band from the Irish front. It got turned into a goat house, is what it is. But he's doing real well now. He calls himself Ghastly. He does the DJ deal. He travels all over. My oldest son is a Border Patrol agent, and then my 2 girls have a salon. And so it keeps them all busy. So it doesn't matter how you raise your kids. I got one's a DJ and one's a Border Patrol agent. You never would have guessed that one. And so here's pen 2. This is the second pen. These are the girls I was telling you. They have about a week left, and then we're gonna stop milking them. Then they'll start their 2-month vacation. They're all 3 months pregnant out here. And then they're all gonna have babies in the summertime when I don't need milk, of course. And so what we do is we make a lot of feta, and we save it for the winter and sell the feta in the winter time. It's one cheese I get a pretty good shelf life on. There's the Chev, the Quark, the curds, they're all 30-day shelf life, but the feta we can get up to 6 months on it. So we turn into a feta factory. We're not making any hard cheeses. We're just making fresh cheese, fresh soft cheeses right now. We haven't been able to make hard ones because we can't keep up with the demand on the fresh cheese. So if we ever need to, we'll switch to hard. We'll start making it. And then this pen, these girls are all ready to kid. These are a bunch of tanks out here. You can see the bellies on them. They got 2 and 3 babies in them. They lay around and just groan. They just like, oh. You come out at night and the whole pen's laying here moaning. But this is where they have their babies. We have them close to the house and the barn where we can keep an eye on them. And they're called dry goats. So this is our dry pen right now. They're not being milked. What's so crazy about a cow is 2 years before they produce any milk, from the time they're born. And on goats, I'm holding a little baby today, and I can say next year at this time I'll be milking you in the barn. So it's a 1 year, and they're starting to produce. A cow takes $50 a day to feed them. A goat takes maybe $2 or $3 a day to feed them, get them up there. So a lot better turnaround on that. We're set up for keeping animals cool during the summer. Not so much the winter, not so much keeping them warm. We're set up for keeping them cool. In the summertime, we have fans, misters going on everybody. It's just keeping them alive. Here's the thing. The Nubian goats do really well here because those long ears, they're an African breed, and those long ears are made for cooling. So they are a desert goat. They do better than my cows did. They do fantastic out here. This is how I stayed in business on my old cow dairy. We could see we weren't going to be able to stay in business. It was all going to like Walmart-sized dairies. And so about 10 years before we quit, we started doing tours at our farm. And we did 30,000 kids a year through there. And then I would live off of the money I made off of the tours, and I didn't have to pull any money off the cow dairy. And so this is the remnants of our cow dairy. This was my cow train, what's left over. So we'd pull kids around in this. I would see 300 to 400 kids a day would come through our cow dairy. It's how many we had out there. And so this is all that's left of the cows. These are easy ones to take care of here. This is the only way I like cows now. It's amazing how much I've got to where I switched over to the goats and prefer them so much more than a cow. I never would have dreamed it. My granddad and dad are probably rolling over in their graves thinking I'm milking goats. Because I talked to the friends of mine who milk cows, and all they do is milk cows and send the milk to a bottling plant. I milk goats, make cheese, I do the whole process. I'll tell them everything I'm doing, and they'll say, oh, so you're not dairying anymore. So just because it's a goat, they don't think you're really dairying. And I've had that several times. But those same guys who said that to me are going out of business now milking cows. And so they're not dairying anymore. They're the ones not doing it. So yes, now you have to milk 10 to 20,000 cows, or you have to find a niche. And so we went with ours as going with the goats is what we did. Or like we originally intended, we were going to do a small artisan cheese out of cows. We were going to do that. But we ended up doing the goats instead. I'm glad we did. I just turned 60. Like I said, well, my kids are 4th generation going to Tolleson High School. So been here a long time West Siders. I don't sell any cheese on the west side. The west side of town is so cheap. I have 2 customers over here on west of Central. The east side of town, I have 120 restaurants we sell to. The difference in East and West Phoenix. And I grew up in West Phoenix my entire life, so I know what it's like. And it's tough selling anything on this side of town. The Wigwam and the big Renaissance Hotel by the Cardinal Stadium are my 2 west side customers. Is it. And then the east side's where all the resorts and everybody else is. You know, it's loaded up over there, all the top restaurants. And I can't afford to eat in those restaurants, but I get to eat in the kitchen a lot. I do the deliveries myself. It really helps that I'm standing in that chef's kitchen twice a week. Twice a week, you know. They're wanting to know what's new, what's going on. And I enjoy it more than when I was milking cows and I just shipped milk off to the processing plant. Now I'm in touch with the guy buying the cheese, the chef, and with the customers. I go to a lot of dinners and talk about cheese and stuff like that. I got to be a judge at the Phoenix Knife Fight where I was judging chefs making plates, and that was a fun one. That's one of the perks of my job, doing that. Dairies have to move because new technology comes along and they become outdated and they wear out. Just the metal, it gets eaten up, everything about them. And so a dairy has to move. We're on our, 1, 2, 3, this is our 5th dairy that our family's had. And you keep moving out further. If you want to know where the houses are going to be built next, follow where the dairies are now, buy land around there, that's where the houses will go next. And so they keep going out. Right now the guys are going clear out to Gila Bend. They're buying 4,000 acres. They're milking 10, 20,000 cows, putting in their own mill to roll the grain. They're locating on a rail line so they can bring the grain in. So they're skipping the grain company. They do their own trucking. They do everything. So who survives in the cow business are going to be milking 20,000 cows like Walmart dairies, just monster dairies that are going to make it. And I can see it happening with the goats also. Up in the Midwest and California, there's some big goat dairies over there. Same thing, milking 2,000 to 4,000 goats at a time, but they're all going to a processing plant. I'm just blessed here in town that there isn't a processing plant that anybody takes milk, that I do all my own. And so I'm kind of on an island. I get Phoenix to myself. When we started, there were seven goat dairies, I think, in Arizona, and now we're just about the only one left. I think there's one other up in Prescott, and that's it. It's just a tough business. Doesn't matter what you're doing. You got to really know what you're doing to stay in business. But everybody who has a goat in their backyard makes goat soap. Everybody does that. The goat lotion. It's pretty good money doing those. If you just have a couple in your backyard, you can do that. But every farm market has 3 or 4 people doing goat products or stuff like that. We're doing on our cheeses, we're doing Chev, which everybody thinks is goat cheese. It's a French style cream cheese. We do that in several flavors. We do a herb, a peppercorn, natural, and a butter pecan. A butter pecan's like cheesecake. It's a fantastic one. It's my dessert cheese. Then we do a feta. We do 2 of those, a natural feta and a peppercorn. And then we make quark, which is like making Greek yogurt, but a buttermilk culture. And you just drain down the buttermilk to where all the whey's out of it, and it's like buttermilk you can eat with a spoon. I call it quark. If a Russian or German sees I have it, they go, "Quack, quack, you got quack." They do it all the time. They get excited. It's like quack, quack. So I guess that's the proper way to say it. I call it quark. And then we make cheddar curds. Some guys, we don't press them and age it. We just make the curds and sell the curds. Several guys use it on salads, things like that. But the restaurants do so much stuff with the cheese. I can't imagine all the things they do. I'm not a chef. I just make a great ingredient. And so when I go there, I'm impressed all the time with what they're making. A lot of times the quark, they have their fancy dish done. They'll take that and drizzle over the top of it. They'll use quark on top of it. Beckett's Table, they grill the peppercorn feta and put it on the side of a salad. And, I mean, everybody does something different on it. I've built a lot of things in Arizona, but this walk-in cooler, I have to say, is the best. Here's my empty shelves, which is really a good thing. We sell everything every week. We can't keep anything in here. I have a little bit of our butter pecan. It's our dessert cheese. We did make gelato at one time, but I'm a Phoenician and I hate being in the cold, and I had to stand in here for like 8 hours a day making gelato. I was wearing my ski suit, my ski hat, everything. And so I did it for 2 years. I got sick of it. But I took my butter pecan recipe on the gelato and switched it over to the cheese, and it came out fantastic. So we got lucky on that one. And then where we make quark, we make buttermilk, and I bag up the buttermilk into a bag, leave it in here. It takes about a week. You flip the bag over, and the curd stays in the bag, and then it collects the whey in the bottom. So that's basically how you're making Greek yogurt. This is a small way to do it. The big companies have a lot better way of doing it. But you just have to separate the whey from the curd. So curds and whey. And the rest of it's pretty empty, which is good. I think this is more quark. It's a bag of buttermilk is what it is. So every day we flip it, and then it catches the whey down the bottom. And then we have a guy who raises hogs here in the neighborhood. He picks up all the whey and feeds it to the hogs, what they do with it. This is what my vegans eat. It's peppercorn feta. They call it their steak. Let me break a little off here. So we just add the peppercorn to it. It's a fantastic feta, and it's really a creamy feta is what it is. It's not a hard one. The chefs just love it like this. There we go. That one looks a little better. You can see the peppercorn. It just fed through it there. We do it whenever we put them in the mold. Pretty salty. Right out of the brine, for pretty salty like that. But man, it is good. And I still eat this all the time, so it's got to be good. I still like it. I was at a restaurant a few weeks ago, and we had a cheese board, and I told my wife, I said, man, that is really good, whatever that one is there. And she said, it should be good, you made it. And I didn't even know it was my cheese. And so I gave myself the seal of approval there without even knowing I was judging my own. This is what the inspectors are worried about as your graph. We have to do the 145 for 30 minutes, and then your airspace has to be 150 or higher. Any airspace above the milk has to be hotter than the milk, 5 degrees hotter for 30 minutes. And they get real upset if this isn't right. It's one of the main things they check. So they usually feed me in the back. I was at a restaurant the other day and they gave me some lettuce. It was glacier lettuce, I believe they called it. And it tastes just like a dill pickle. Fantastic. So I'm in a culinary world I never dreamed I would be in. It's fantastic. Get to hang out with the best chefs. And my cheese has probably been served at the James Beard House in New York probably 5 or 6 times. Chefs have taken them with them. Charlene Badman at F&B over in Old Town Scottsdale, she just won the best chef Southwest from the James Beard House, the James Beard Award, which nobody's won that in like 12 years in Arizona. It's been a long drought on that one. But she uses our Chev and the quart. She uses both of them. You got to come up with different ideas. This was this is a sausage press that we fill the containers with. A regular piston filler can cost like $16,000 to fill cheese with, and this one is like an $800 machine. It's the same thing. It's a piston filler, but it works well for what we do. Everything we do is small batches. Michael didn't even know how to walk when he came here, and now he's the cheese maker. He's moved way up. We're going to give him the most improved award. Making cheese, we're not going to show a lot of that because it can be really boring. Some milk, you pour a little powder in it and mix it in, and you wait, and you wait, and you wait. Then you cut the curd, and then you wait, and you wait, and you wait. And it'd be hours and hours between maybe 30 seconds of action. Just knowing when to do it. We're using cheese bags on our Chev, and a lot of people will use a mold when they make Chev, a little small mold, like a pyramid, and then they salt the outside of it. What we do, we just add salt and blend it into the cheese. It's a lot more uniform tasting product, preserves it better, the whole bit. And salt is a big part of cheese making. We use lots and lots of salt, a couple 100 pounds a week of salt. When we're making cheese, we pretty much use the same cultures and same rennet on everything that we're doing, except for the buttermilk. I have a different culture for the buttermilk. But we use the same culture and rennet. It's all about times and temperatures. When I'm adding rennet to Chev, go ahead and get in there when you need it. When I'm adding rennet to the Chev, I do drops with a little dropper, and it has to wait for almost 16 hours before it makes a nice curd. When I'm doing feta, I add teaspoons of rennet, and I have a curd in 45 minutes. And then you're just doing different temperatures and different times, and you can make a million different cheeses out of the same culture and same rennet. It's just the different times and temperatures you're using on them. Fastest one I can make is about 30 hours. I can make a Chev, about 15 hours ripening, and then about 15 hours hanging on the cheese trolley here, waiting for the whey to drain out of it. The feta takes at least a week on it. By the time you dry salt it, brine it, do everything else, it takes a week on it. And then the cork takes about a week. And then the feta, it can be aged anywhere from a couple weeks to months. It just depends. It depends on the time of year with us. Because our whole market is about the winter time when the snowbirds are here. And the snowbirds that come to Phoenix are fairly wealthy. If you can afford to spend the winter in Phoenix, then you got money. I was up at delivering at Desert Mountain, that's up by Carefree, and the chef tells me and they're like 4,000 foot up on the mountain. The houses are all bigger than the resort. He says the house next to the resort up there, the guy uses it for a holiday house, Thanksgiving and Christmas. That's it. So he must own United Airlines or something, but he's got money. The whole place is like that. We sell 4-pound containers, sold wholesale. So if all the restaurants quit buying, we're going to go to home delivery, and we'll probably we'll still do this 4-pound container, but if somebody orders 1 pound, we'll just put 1 pound in it, or 2 or 3. We'll try to customize it a little more. 4 pounds is a lot of cheese to go through. And I think this about does it. We're pretty much from end to end here. From the goat to the cheese, other than heading to the restaurant. When we're filling up a 4-pound container and we're finished packaging, there might be the end of a run where there's just a little bit of cheese that won't fill up a 4-pounder. We put those in 4-ounce containers and those go to a farm market. That's how we started though, was the farm markets. I worked them for probably 4 or 5 years, up to 5 a week, going to 5 a week. I was just sitting at them selling cheese all the time. In fact, one story was people are so prejudiced against goat milk and goat cheese. Had 4 women came up to me. 3 of them says, "Oh, we love goat cheese." And I said, "Well, try this." And they're like, "Oh, it's the best we've ever had." The 4th woman, she's like, "I cannot stand goat products at all." And so she says, "What's that on the end?" And I said, "That's feta." So she grabs one and eats it real quick, and she says, "Oh, this is fantastic." And I said, "Well, that's made out of goat milk also." She went and spit it out. After her telling her friends that it was fantastic, she went over and spit it out. And then a couple of the ladies who run the farm markets, when I started, they said, "Well, this is such good cheese that they're going to take you away from us," talking about the chefs. And I told them, "No, I'm going to be here for you forever." And I was wrong. They took me away from them, and I'm not there now. But I do have a couple people that sell at the farm market for me. But they were right. I like filling 4-pound containers better than 4-ounce containers any day. A lot easier. I get a bad rap because there's a lot of people who don't know how to do it right. And people eat stuff that does taste bad. I've had it. I've had some that's terrible. But knowing how to handle your milk and knowing how to handle your goats and having control over all your own milk. When you're putting your name on it, it's a lot different.
Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoy our documentaries as much as we enjoy making them. Unfortunately, many of our videos don't earn enough YouTube revenue to afford the cost of production. But if you like our content, the best thing you can do is directly support it on Patreon. Plus, you'll get access to behind-the-scenes vlogs and commentary. If you're looking for something more in return, go to paragraphic.io where you can buy our other products and services. Alternatively, you can shop our Amazon storefront for our favorite equipment recommendations. Also, check out Boca, where you can find beneficial supplements to optimize your productivity. We especially love the lion's mane and mushroom gummies. And finally, consider signing up to Multitude, a platform built for long-form content, where you and other content creators can share and monetize new videos every week.